Welcome to Sales Warrior War Room. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the second episode of Sales Warrior War Room. Really excited. Got a really cool guest coming to us all the way from my favorite town, Austin, Texas. Josh Thomas. Say hello to everybody at Sales Warrior War Room.
Sales Warrior War Room. Got to get on your warrior voice. I can do the whole interview like this if you want.
Have you heard the audio?
No, but I'm.
Oh yeah, man! My audio sounds like the beginning to Iron Man from
Nice.
from Black Sabbath.
Excellent. Yeah,
Yes,
good deal, man.
agreed. I mean, it's that inspiration, baby. Like you can't take a flat salesperson and get him to sell much for any long period of time, right? Like you got to have some pizzazz.
Yeah, gotta be willing to go out there and just say random things like purple rhinoceros and just hope that it lands and not worry if it doesn't.
Mix it the hell up. Okay, so let's talk about you because it's going to be all about you, Josh. I mean, I'll try and add a little, but so how long have you been in sales?
So I first started with sales. My first experience with sales was in 2008, and that's when I got my real estate license.
Okay.
And so there were like all kinds of problems with that. Number one, I had no experience or skills in sales.
Okay.
Number two, the economy was caving and nobody could afford a mortgage or sell their house for what they paid for it.
Yeah.
And so there was just like the perfect storm of failure.
Oh no. Yeah. Well, it's okay though, because so would you go? So after you left real estate, what'd you do?
Well, yeah. So once I realized that wasn't going to work, I didn't want to go back to my old profession, and so I'm like, well, what else can I do? And the only kind of job that was really hiring, and at that time around 2010, 2011, was there was sales jobs, and well, I didn't have any sales skills, and so
Right.
I went to get a job at this boiler room kind of call center that
Okay.
was selling precious metals. And I was very, very fortunate that I got one of the probably best sales trainers in existence, happened to
Okay.
be a sales manager there, just like moonlighting basically. And he taught me how to sell. His name was Nate Brooks.
Nice.
And we're still friends to this day.
Okay.
Taught me how to sell and gave me the confidence that, yeah, you know what, anybody can do this as long as you're following the right process and as long as you're taking care of yourself and your deal and taking care of the customer.
Absolutely, man. You got a great voice for sales. I mean, not everybody is like gifted with a great voice for sales, but you kind of got that raspy, low baritone. Not that you ladies can't be super successful in sales because we want to hear those overtones as well, but like you got that, go ahead and do it.
Yeah. Well, I think it just it comes, John, from having the same conversation like 10,000 times, and then your throat's just like all burned out at the end of the day, and so you're
right.
like, well, this is all I got, so just take it all.
That's right, baby. That's right. Let me finish this last cigarette, and you're going to sign the dotted line.
Yeah. That's it.
No, so you bring up a good point because you were talking about it. you were talking about how talk about random things. And man, am I such a believer in that. Like so many salespeople, especially when you're talking about like high ticketed sales, they're so focused on what they have to sell that they can't get somebody relaxed enough to sell it because they're so focused on, you know, I guess they call it like commission breath, right? They're so focused on you buy this car, you buy this house, you buy this, you buy that. I haven't told you enough. So when the gentleman was training you, give us some of like some of the tips and things like that that he shared with you that makes for a good salesperson.
All right. So one of the lessons that really stands out that I learned in that very first sales roles all those
Yeah.
years ago was he was teaching the concept of match and mirror, pace and lead. And match, basically, it's a process where you're going to align your actions with what their actions are.
Yes.
You're going to
I love
mirror
it.
them.
Yeah.
And at some point, you're pacing alongside of them. And once that's happening, now you guys are in sync. Once
Yeah.
you're in sync, then you're vibing on the same frequency. Now you can take the lead and they'll follow you.
I like it.
It's like this kind of psychological thing, and it's all
Yeah.
humans will do it. And if you notice, like, you'll catch yourself in these situations where you see somebody doing something and you find yourself doing that, and then you can kind of, you know, turn to one side and they'll turn to one side at the same time, or you lean back in your chair like this and they'll do the same thing. That's
Right.
when you know you really are in charge, like, of this kind of dichotomy of the relationship. That's when
Yes.
you know you're in control. That's when you can start having a little bit more influence, but you have to earn it.
Right. Right. I like that. So, okay. I want to make sure I heard it all because it is the end of the workday. So you said match,
Match and mirror,
match and mirror, and lead,
pace and lead.
and pace and lead.
Yep.
I've
Match
never
and
heard.
mirror,
Yeah.
pace and lead.
Okay. Match and mirror, pace and lead. So I've definitely heard mirror, and that's but you know, everybody listening isn't going to get the mirror part. And I think the mirror part is huge. And I've actually mentioned it in training that I've done before, and people have argued with me about it. But the people that argue about it are typically the people not selling much. Tell us what mirror is.
Well, and this is, you know, that was 2011. That was a long time ago. It was 14 years ago. And
You're good, dude. I'm almost 60, man. Tell us.
yeah. And so of
Mhm.
all of that stuff, the one thing that I have held on to
Yes.
is mirroring.
Yeah.
And that has everything to do with when you see somebody that shows up with high energy, you should have high energy. It doesn't
Okay.
mean you should be not authentic to yourself.
Right.
But if you see somebody that's showing up with kind of like this nervous energy, your job is to kind of calm down. Like, I'm going to mirror this and I'm going to say, hey, this is the thing that you need to be. I'm going to match where you're at, but I'm going to try to pull you back down to
Right.
and for me, what I've learned over time is, as long as if somebody shows up and they start cutting jokes, I'm like, hey, I can do that. You know, if somebody shows up and they're like, oh, I want to be very serious. Yeah, I can be very serious. Because all I want to do is I want to put you into the environment to where you're comfortable opening up and having a conversation with me. And as long as that's happening, then we have an opportunity to come to a consensus and say, well, hey, here's your problem. Here's my solution. Does it make sense that, you know, my solution solves your problem? And that's basically the conversation you're having at that point.
Sure.
And the answer may be no, and that's okay, because it's no more than it's yes.
Man, I like that. The whole mirror concept. I heard that years and years ago, not to totally date myself, but I think it was a cassette tape, or I took a VHS home, and it was like how to sell on the phone, and it was like how to sell an ashtray. But this guy was doing exactly what you're saying. Like I like to match the energy too, but I love the mirror because we're comfortable with people that are like us.
That's right.
And no two people are alike, and you're not being like not authentic to mirror somebody. You're being well, one, you're being smart, but two, it's like if you go to the football game and everybody's doing the wave, are you going to sit there and fight it? Like, as the wave goes around the football stadium and everybody's going, whoa, whoa, you're going to be the one guy that breaks the wave?
Yeah.
That's not cool. Don't break the wave, people. Learn to mirror. It's so easy, like, and it's fun. Like, I can perfectly sound like I'm from Alabama, from South Texas, East Texas. And I'm not being like not authentic. It's just the way my brain works. Like if somebody talks to me in a certain dialect, like I spent some time in Long Island, and by the time I was done in Long Island, I sounded like I was from Long Island. And I wasn't purposely doing that. It was just like, it just happens. And it's just a part of being a successful salesperson, being professional. I love it. So you said mirror, and then you said match the energy. So you mirror the voice if you're on the phone, and then you match the energy. So if you have like a low energy person or a nervous person, you at least come down to them and then you kind of settle them down. Am I getting that right, Josh?
Yeah. The idea is you want to create the most comfortable environment for somebody to make what could be either the biggest decision of their life or at least the biggest decision of the week or the month, because I don't sell cheap stuff.
Right.
And
how much? Okay. How much does your stuff cost?
Well, I mean, it depends.
Okay. Well, tell us the expensive stuff. Make it fun.
So I've sold everything from a $10,000 coaching or implementation package to a $35,000 mentorship and mastermind to $150,000 consulting arrangements, and a handful of other things and some profit share and, all kinds of other stuff. But I'll tell you, what's really interesting is the more expensive it is, the easier it is to sell.
Okay. I like it.
And there's a couple of reasons for that, because when you're talking about something that's really expensive, you're talking to somebody that's able to afford it. And money is not something that's in the way. Is this the right solution to my problem is what's in the way for them. But when you get down closer to like a $10,000 price point or less, you run into more people at that point that money is a real problem. When you're selling something that's $10,000, you might get I don't have anywhere near that, which is something that happened to me today.
Okay.
And
now, who is your prospect? We all want to understand your business better.
Yeah, sure. So
no, you don't name the organization, but like give us an idea of like what they do.
Yeah, certainly. So I work with entrepreneurs, mostly people who are coaches and consultants, digital marketing agencies, people who are wanting to bring in high-end clients. And I build funnels and client acquisition systems for them so that it places leads and sales and opportunities onto their calendar on autopilot without them having to do the work.
Okay.
And so a lot of this, when I'm selling something that's, as mentioned, it was something that's $10,000 or less, you'll run into people that have like, well, I don't have that kind of money. All right, great. When you're having a conversation about something that's, for a long time, I built and sold this $35,000 mentorship program.
Okay.
And we sold the snot out of it, man. Like so many. I think my record was I was getting, at one point, I got on a Zoom call and I had 3 different prospects and I closed all 3 of them on the same call. And so it was $105,000 an hour. And it was like the craziest hour of my life. But But the sale was not difficult because I already know if you're on this call, money is less of a problem than if I was talking about a $10,000 solution.
Okay.
And then on the top end, I've sold six-figure consulting packages several times, but there's no way I'm even busting that. I'm not even pulling that out of my pocket unless I know where you're at financially, unless I know that you have a big problem and you need to
Right.
spend big money to solve it. And
Right.
then and it's much easier at that point, because anytime you're focusing on solving the problem and not how much something costs, it's significantly easier to sell that, because all you really have to do is demonstrate that you have the solution they need to the problem they have.
Right. Right. So are you doing needs analysis then?
Needs analysis, like what is
Well, like,
somebody actually
okay,
need?
so you got 3 prospects on a Zoom call. They all 3 bought, which I think is cheers to you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
It was like spinning like 3 plates at the same time. It's crazy. They all had objections too.
oh, really?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay. So evidently, if they could spend 35K with you, they were already bringing in significant revenue in their coaching business. They just want to take it to the next level. Would that be correct?
Yeah. And well, they not only is that the case, they actually didn't know how, and it was painful, because there's a difference between like, hey, I want to grow, and everything else I've tried doesn't work, and I gotta grow no matter what. I'm not happy with where I'm at. Like, those are the people that are ready to go with you. Is they have to actually want to do something.
Right.
It has to hurt bad enough to where they can't stay where they're at.
Right.
Otherwise,
Were these people like in debt? Were they in debt? Was that a driver?
No, not necessarily. It's just there's this certain threshold, I think, that once you arrive at this certain point, like, hustle will get you so far.
Right.
But what got you here won't get you there.
Right.
And what got you to $1 million won't get you to 2 million.
Okay.
And so the idea here is we can't keep doing the same things. We have to change our strategy. But most people, once they get to this limit of what they've been able to do on their own, they don't know what's next.
Right.
Or they have an idea of what's next, and they've tried 5 or 6 things and they didn't work. And so now they're like, I've burned money, I've wasted time, I've sacrificed relationships, and I still don't have the results I want. How does this even work? I got to get the answer.
Yeah.
And so if I can meet somebody there and I can say, I get you, I understand, here's a path forward, and here's the logic behind it, and here's the proof that it works, and here's why most people get stuck. Is that you? If I can kind of relate those points and say, hey, this is what you need to do, then the sale at that point is just a matter of, walking through the process and having them say, yes, I'm ready to do this, or no, I'm not.
Yeah. What you're describing is like thread the needle. Like, you've discovered the pain point. The pain point is greater than the price. You've tied what you have to the pain point, and you've made the price seem insignificant because the pain is so great. Like, you've shown like they're probably, like a dog, like, saliva, because like it seems, oh, I want that bone. You're holding that in front of me, and I want that. And you're probably getting them. I'm assuming, like, your sales style, the way you're describing it, sounds like you get them to maybe picture the benefit before they bought from you. Like, this is what it's going to be like. Do you do a lot of picture selling, would you say?
Not exactly.
No, okay, that's fine.
I'm actually more of a like, let's sit down and figure out what it is you actually want first.
Okay. Yeah, needs analysis.
And I'm not going to lead you in any direction. I'm just going to find out, well, what is it that you want to accomplish, and what is actually needed, your needs analysis, what is actually needed for you to accomplish that.
Sure.
And why don't you have it now? Are you willing to do what it takes to get it? and all of that is what, before any kind of dollar figure is ever whipped out, we got to get like a definite, positive, confident answer to all of those things. Because without that, then as soon as you whip out your price, they're just going to grab it and bludgeon you over the head with it and use it as the reason that they're not going to buy. But it's
Right.
not
Yeah.
about how much it costs. It's about one true objection, John, which is, I just don't think this is going to work for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's really not another one.
Yeah. And you just laid it out exactly like how I believe, which I would call minor yeses. Like you're laying it out there for them, and you're trying to gain agreement in small steps to gain agreement for the big yes. And probably, like you're saying, overcome the objections along the way, which is huge. I get the feeling that like you honor your prospects. Would that be correct?
Well, I think that's fair. I had somebody. This was the wildest thing, man. Like,
Yeah.
I had somebody today. We got on a call, and we had been on a previous call. Like, she had bought one of my products, showed up to a call, and I just laid everything out. Didn't seem like she was ready. And so I'm like, well, here's the process. Whenever it makes sense, we'll talk about it. But I
Yeah.
could tell she wasn't ready, And then I had a workshop, and then I invited a bunch of people who had bought my products to a workshop. She came to the workshop,
Okay.
loved it, books another call, gets on there. And the first thing that she says is, she's like, man, you're such a great dude. Like, that's how we opened up the sales call, So you're such a great dude, man. Like, every time that I'm dealing with you, you're super relaxed. You're super laid back. You're just laying out the facts. And it's like, you're not trying to push me or pressure me into anything. You're just like, here's how it's done. And I just wanted to let you know, I really appreciate that. And I'm like,
Man.
oh, that's great. Well, slide your credit card right here. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. What do I do at that point?
That's so was she a coach too? Was she a professional coach?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was she new at it, or had she been doing it a
No.
while?
No, yeah. She had quite a bit of success, and it's
It
that's
just
the
hadn't
thing.
moved the needle. Like, she got to a certain level and needed your help to automate and to scale.
That's the idea. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Who doesn't want to automate, and who doesn't want to scale?
Yeah.
Red Lobster, that's who.
Exactly.
This show used to be a comedy show, so I'm kind of like sticking with my roots.
Get back to it.
That's intriguing, though. I like it. I like the fact that you go for the minor yes. I like the fact that you overcome objections as you go versus being like a binary salesperson, which you just ask for the yes and then you don't get the yes. And so now you're like trying to put somebody in a headlock. Like, you're not taking care of business as it's like, you're taking care of it as it's coming to you. And it sounds like, I get the feeling that you care about your prospect, which I think is huge. I also get the feeling that people can tell.
Well, I think it comes down to, I care about people in general. Like,
Yeah.
if you're gonna constantly be putting yourself in this high stress situation with other human beings, you got to actually care, because otherwise you're a psychopath, right? Like, it doesn't make sense. But for me,
I haven't heard that before, but okay, Jeffrey Dahmer.
But for me, it's like, all right, I got to care about the person that I'm talking to on the other end of this transaction. But more than that, I got to care about my future self. Because here's the thing: if you got to put somebody in a headlock to get money out of them, how are they going to feel after they give you the money? Then you got to work with them. Then you got to deal with them. And the first thing that goes wrong, they're going to be down your throat.
Right.
And
right.
I got to deal with my future self more than anything. So it's like, I'd like to say I'm altruistic, that like, yes, I care about people, because I do.
Right.
But I'm also self-serving, because future me is going to have to deal with the problem that present me is trying to, cash the check. Future me has to deal with what the aftermath is. And so if somebody's not a fit or they're not ready, I'm not going to put you even in that position to make a decision. I'm not even going to make you an offer if you're not ready. I'm
I
going to
love it,
handle
man.
every
God,
single
you're speaking my
objection.
language.
Yeah, and I'm going to handle every single objection before I ever put you in a position to say, "Hey, would you like me to show you what we do and how you might be able to do business with us?" There's no sense in even talking about that until you know that they got a problem, they want to solve it, and you might be the person that can help them solve it, and the time's right now.
Right.
If you
I
haven't
love
lined those things up, it's
Yeah.
just a nice conversation.
Yeah, man, I love it. We're in the war room and we're talking with Josh Thomas, and man, I love it because what you just described is called proof of concept. Like most salespeople don't know that, and most salespeople just move right to the close without developing proof of concept. And if you don't develop proof of concept, particularly in businesses I've been in, and evidently businesses that you're in right now, Josh, it sounds very phony to ask for the business when you haven't developed proof of concept.
Mm.
And like what I love too, and this is something I believe with my whole heart, is this prospect, the successful coach said that you were a good dude. Is that correct? Am I getting that right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Hey,
awesome.
man, you're such a good dude. It's like
Yeah. And
you
she
start a
tied it
sales
like,
conversation like that,
yeah.
and like things are off to a good start. Whether you close the sale or not, you're doing something right.
Oh, absolutely. And the fact that you're a good dude, and then she immediately had like why you're a good dude. Like she already, and I'm sure you do this, but she already like said why she thinks you're a good dude. Like you're laid back. And what was the other thing?
You just seem to lay things out in a way that makes sense, and you're confident in your methods, and you're not trying to push anybody to do
Oh
anything.
my God. Those points right there make this episode because you exemplified like what it takes to be a successful salesperson to the extent that a prospect and or probably a client at this point, I'm assuming, picked up on it and even like labeled it. Like I love it
And here's
because
and here's the other end of
yeah,
that, John.
go ahead.
Uh,
Yeah.
Years ago, I remember I was getting a different kind of comment,
Okay.
and here's like, let me put this in perspective. So that's one end
Yeah,
where
go ahead.
somebody's saying you're just a good dude,
Yeah.
and on the other end, I remember this was several years ago. I was just hitting my stride. I was just hitting like kind of my prime and like starting to close deals consistently, and I was selling
Yeah.
that $35,000 thing, and I was selling a lot of them. And every once in a while, I would get this comment that was along the lines of, "Well, Josh, you sure are a great salesperson." And, every time I heard that, John, I never closed that deal.
Yeah.
"You're a great sales guy."
Yeah.
Never closed those guys.
Yeah.
Every time I heard it so much that
Yeah.
anytime I heard it, I was like, "Ugh, all right, well, that goes that one." I just knew it wasn't going to happen
Yeah.
because they're looking at me as a sales guy that's selling them something instead of a problem solver.
Yeah. In a trusted business partner. Like,
And you know what?
yeah,
Nobody thinks I'm a good salesperson anymore, and that's the best thing. When
that's
people think
good.
you're a good salesperson, you're in trouble. When
Yeah.
nobody thinks you're a good salesperson anymore, you did something right.
Yeah. You know, if anything I got out of this is the good dude thing. People are going to think that's a little small, like minor thing, but
Mhm.
I know in my whole heart that people buy from people, and people buy from people they like. I know that, like they say, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. You can trust somebody and not like them, and you won't buy from them. You got to like the person unless you just got to have it, and you're willing to buy it from somebody you don't like. But most people, you got to, especially like I would think in your business, trust has to be a huge factor because, they're trusting their livelihood to you.
Mhm.
And they might have money, but the 35K is coming out of their bottom line.
That's right.
Like it's, so they got to trust you. and you got to deliver. So I'm curious. This whole business intrigues me because I've been in more like linear type business and sales. What I want to understand is the deliverable. So
Sure.
where do you get the deliverable?
Yeah. So where we're at now,
Mhm.
that mentorship was actually for real estate investors, and
Yeah.
I'm not involved in that business anymore. But it was a lot of fun, and I really loved the paychecks. But what we're doing now is we've realized that the market has shifted, and there's this point where, most people out there, especially if they've gotten some results, they've gotten some momentum. Most people really don't need another program. They don't need more coaching. They don't need more assistance or ideas or strategies. They just need the work done. And the other thing that stands out
Uh-huh.
is everybody who wants to do business needs a proper marketing system that's going to bring them consistent leads and sales on a daily basis, and pre-indoctrinate their customers to become high-end clients on the back end. Everybody needs that. And so what happens is, we all, whatever profession we're in, whether it's teaching people how to be great at sales, whether it's being a kick-ass CPA, or maybe you're an author, a best-selling author, or you're a yoga or a fitness instructor, we all have to kind of like fall into this crease in the couch of
Mhm.
learning marketing. And then we sign up for ClickFunnels. And then we're like, I got to get my emails DKIM compliant, and all this random stupid stuff that we're just filling our heads with so that we can just do the thing that we already wanted to do. Like, I don't know, man, I just wanted to sell flowers or cactus or something. And now I'm
Yeah.
like, what's a ClickFunnel? Like, I
Right.
got to get my headline A/B testing. Like, who cares? And
Right.
so what we realized is, people are tired of learning how to be great marketers when they just want to be like in their lane and doing the thing they're already good at. And so we just eliminated that from the equation and said, we'll just build it for you. We'll take your subject matter expertise and you'll guide us, and we will build a proven funnel that converts, that's going to produce daily sales, that's going to count people on your calendar. We'll help you close those guys, and we'll help you put together a program that you can deliver that matches your lifestyle. And you don't have to know the first thing about marketing. And that's really what we're focusing on now, because
Well, yeah, and just to clarify a little bit, I'm just kind of a detail person, but the deliverable itself, is that an in-house deliverable, like the end product, or do you have like programmers working for you? How do you deliver the end result? I'm just curious.
yeah. So I've got a full team. We've got copywriters, developers, designers, video editors,
Okay.
ads managers, everybody. Yeah,
Oh
and
wow.
we
So
we
so
build the
you're running
entire.
an is your agency based in Austin then, or is it based somewhere else and you just live in Austin?
I'm based in Austin, but my team is around the world.
Really? Okay. I like it, man. You're a Renaissance man.
There you go.
No, that's but you man, you key in on so many key sales because even though you have this amazing deliverable, if you can't sell it, then there's no such thing as there's no business going on, right? Like that's lost on so many people.
Indeed.
I like it. I had to sit in on a meeting today taught by a guy who can't sell, and and it was all about like how to manipulate software to get in front of people that at one point express some interest in whatever you're doing, and and it's not that I'm against that, but at the end of the day, it's getting in front of the people.
Mhm.
Like You can have, I don't know, I use a lot of analogies. You can have the best song lists in the world, but if you don't have good performers, it's a crap concert,
Yeah, that's right.
you know? You
Yeah.
could sit there and run it through all these math algorithms, how people just absolutely love this, but one person can get up and play a Gibson guitar and it sounds amazing. The next person sounds like they're killing a chicken.
Yeah.
And that's how a lot of salespeople are too. Like you can have a great script, but if it's done improperly, and like you're bringing up nuances to, like I call it punching out the script, but the nuances you bring up, mirror and match and pace and lead. Did I get it right?
Mhm.
With absolutely no afternoon coffee too. But man, that guy was dead on right. Like if you're going to teach fundamentals in the war room, you can't ask for better fundamentals. Um, and repetition is the key to learning. So mirroring is mirroring like the dialect between two people, and and matching is matching energy. Am I right on this?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. And then I guess pace is kind of like match. Like
Yeah,
you,
pace. Yeah, you're
yeah.
pacing their movement.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
kind of pacing along with their movement, and that's when you can guide them. Yes.
I see. So that's like on a Zoom call. If they're moving their hands, you move your hands. Is that what
Yeah,
that
I
means?
mean the original intent of the lesson was about in-person sales, and so
Okay. Okay.
pacing physical movements on a Zoom call, it's not so relevant if you're not actually in front of them. But
I got you.
yeah, yeah. See, there you go.
Yeah, it's like this. No, I'm not hypnotizing you. No, I'm not hypnotizing you. No, I'm not hypnotizing you.
Yeah, I actually got hypnotized on Zoom one time, and I
Did
recorded
you?
it. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Oh wow. I've been hypnotized a few
Yeah.
times, and it's amazing like how strong it can be.
Hmm.
But we're not into manipulating people. This isn't Jeremy Minor. Ah, I didn't say that. But you bring up some interesting nuances. So somebody like yourself, you can obviously you have a high ticket item to sell. It sounds like you've got a fantastic process involved, and you got a worldwide deliverable. So you can literally deliver your package anywhere in the country.
Yeah. We have clients all over the world.
Wow. Okay. And so do you ever? I know your niche is kind of coaching and things like that. But do you ever get like the guy that has 5 insurance people working for him, the guy that's doing roofs, the guy do you get businesses like that or no?
We actually started a lead generation company for insurance agents uh,
Okay.
because I interviewed this guy uh, on my podcast, and
Hmm.
he said, and I always ask whenever I'm talking to somebody on the back end, hey, what's a big hairy problem that you need solved, or who's somebody meaningful that I can introduce you to? And he said, lead companies for insurance suck. If you can figure out how to do it in a way that doesn't suck, uh,
Yeah.
then I can introduce you to like hundreds of people that will throw money at you. And
Oh
I was
man.
like, all right, let's figure it out. And so here's a good tie back to earlier parts of our conversation. I
Yes.
went I went and talked to a dozen insurance agents, and I said, hey, thinking about starting a lead company. What do you hate about lead companies? And what do you actually want out of a lead that you're not getting?
Yeah.
And they came through and they were like, well, here's all the things that suck about lead companies. And
Okay.
here's all I want. When I want a lead, it's just this.
Okay.
And it seems so simple. And so I'm like, okay. And so I went and found a guy that could deliver those things. And I came back to them. I wrote the message and I said, well, hey, it looks like you guys are fed up with crappy lead companies that do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
And so we don't do any of that. We're going to give you a lead that does A, B, C, exact things that they said they wanted. and here's how much it costs. Do you want it? And man, they lined up. And I had probably 50 conversations in a row. Like, I was very busy for several weeks, and just quick conversations and saying, here's all the things that we do. And it was the same deal. We had the conversation. I said,
Mhm.
this is what we do. And then I stopped. I'm like, it's up to you. Don't do this if you don't feel right about it. And every single one of them were like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And like, I closed like 80% because I was just giving them what they wanted and
Yeah.
letting them decide that that's what they wanted. I didn't have to push them
Yeah.
into anything.
Man, I love it. Okay, I got to tell this story. It's not as big a story as yours, but it is still pretty good. This was years ago, and it's a much smaller like price point or whatever. But I got a job when I was in college selling newspapers. Like, that's the worst job, right? Selling newspapers over the phone. And my job was to sell like 3-month subscriptions. And so I went to one of the professors and I'm like, give me a list of all the pre-journalism students. And, they're not yet in J school or journalism school, but just give me a list of them. Man, my close ratio was off the chart, because if they said, like, I would just ask them, hey, are you subscribed to, like, I wouldn't even say I was selling it. I'd be like, are you subscribed to the newspaper? And they're like, what, you mean the student newspaper? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, we make it right here. Are you subscribed to it? I mean, I know you're trying to get into journalism school. And they'd be like, no. And I'm like, well, do you think it'd be a good idea, like when you're trying to get accepted in journalism school, to like maybe mention during your interview that you're reading the paper that we produce right here, that you're trying to work on one day? And they'd be like, oh, a light bulb would go off, and just a similar type of story as yours. But it's that thread the needle, man. The better the perfect customer, uh, the better you have it analyzed who your perfect customer is, and you get your, like the situation you have. You obviously have your script down, and you have it down so well that you're so comfortable with it that you can emotionally present it.
Well,
And
let's talk about a script for a minute,
yeah,
because
go ahead.
I think that that's for some reason like
Mhm.
controversial. In
Yeah, I know. I saw a guy. He came to Dallas, and all he did was badmouth scripts. And I'm like, I write scripts for my people all the time, and by God, it's what I tell people. And so, like,
yeah, I have, you probably got me beat on this, man, but
yeah.
I've done probably 15,000 sales calls in the last 14 years and 16 years. And, uh,
Wow.
you know, I still use a script. Like, why wouldn't I? These are the words that you need to say to make money. Why would I just count on my, constantly progressively failing memory as I get older? Like, these words worked. I'm just going to read them over and over again and swipe the credit card. Like, why would I change that?
Josh, man, this is something I'm passionate about. Okay, so I'm older, so I've been in sales like 34 years, and literally started by selling candy bars, in the neighborhood, legitimately, so I could go play baseball. So people don't think poorly of me. But what I'm wondering, uh, let's talk about scripts. So help me understand, like, who is like a famous music artist right now that, like, a lot of people maybe in the younger generation would know. Like, you could see, like,
Post
behind me is
Malone.
Pete Townsend. Who?
Post Malone.
Okay, so Post. Okay, I actually know who Post is,
All
only
right.
because he did a song with Ozzy Osbourne. That's the only
Okay.
reason I know who Post Malone is. But Post Malone, he's actually from Dallas. Did you know that?
Didn't know that.
I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to this type of information, but yeah, he's originally from like a suburb, like a pretty nice suburb of Dallas. They always want to be from, like, the hood, or like Detroit or whatever. But anyway, okay. So if you're the guitar player or the keyboardist or the accompaniment to Post Malone, and you're in front of, I'm guessing what, 20, 30,000 people in a stadium these days. Is that pretty normal now
Yep,
for a
probably.
stadium show? Like, does Post Malone want those people to go off script?
Probably not.
No, no. And that's why salespeople need to like stick to, you can put nuances in there, but you got to make sure like the proper information is given. And the better you know the script, the more you can perform it properly.
All I can say is this:
Yeah.
the insurance company, I built that company up to $100,000 a month, a business in
Okay.
2 weeks by reading a script that I wrote word for word.
Yeah.
I did
Good
not
for you, man.
deviate from this script. I read every single word because I knew exactly what they wanted. So the script said what they wanted. And then as I started having the conversations, 3 or 4 people in a row would start asking this extra question. And so I just baked that into the script, and that question went away, but the next one cropped up, and I baked that into the script. And I got to this point to where it's like, you ready? All right. Blah, 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 blah. Credit card. And that is sales utopia, right? And I just read that script over and over and over again. And people were like, that sounds exactly like what I need. Thank you very much. Here's your payment link. And we move on to the next guy. And then they pay and they pay and they pay and they pay. And I just gave them exactly what they wanted. And this script did it for me to where I didn't have to think, because how am I supposed to remember that call I had? I had 50 calls in the last 3 days. I can't remember that one objection that one guy had. So I'm just going to bake it into the script and read the script. I didn't even deviate at all from the script. I literally read every word.
Well, and I think the reason why people don't want to be part of a script is ego, right? Like ego will keep people from making money more so than any other thing in the world. Like a speech impediment is better than having ego when you're, I mean, you got to have a good, view of yourself. Don't get me wrong. But if you have like a preconceived, I'm going to do it my way, and it doesn't matter what works, I'm just going to do it my way because my way is best because I have this huge ego, you're keeping yourself from money. Like you're separating yourself from success because you're letting your ego get in the way of making money. And that's a bad thing. But man, I love it that we're talking about scripts. It's definitely something I'm passionate about. There's a guy came here in Dallas, and all he did was like talk about how bad scripts were. But have you ever heard the term punch out the script?
No.
Yeah, so that's more like, and you kind of mentioned it, but you're talking about like mirroring and matching and pacing. And then a part of that too is like emotionally deliver it. Like, don't deliver it flat, deliver it with pizzazz. Kind of like when we started this conversation, I think you said something about like flying rhinoceroses or something like that.
Yes. I don't even remember what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm Cliff Clavin when it comes to things like that. But yeah, that's, but punch out the script. So like you make the script your own by knowing it so well that you can get emotional about it. Like every line doesn't need to be at the same level. Like I sit there and I think about, some guy told me this years ago, kind of similar to your guy. What was your guys' name again?
Nate Brooks.
Nate Brooks. Okay. So a good friend of mine that sells a ton of stuff with me back in the day in software, and now he works in a different industry. His dad was in professional sales, and he said this, and I think people need to hear it. The slower you say it, the more meaningful it sounds. Like most people, when they're given a benefit, say it so fast it doesn't mean anything. Like if I'm the waiter and
I'm
I come
gonna
up,
get up out of this chair right now and get a chocolate cupcake.
That's meaningful to me, man. The way you said it, like you sit there and you go up to the table and you're the waiter and you're given a litany of all the specials and by the way, every single entree gets free chicken cordon bleu with an entree. Buy a steak, get free chicken cordon bleu. If you don't even like chicken cordon bleu, hell,
Like,
take
I
it
want
home
that.
to your kids. but the slower you say it, the more meaningful it is. Like when I listen to people, it's monotonous because they use no voice inflectuation. Am I saying that right? I think my wife called me out. Is it inflectuation or inflection? I'm a country boy. You got to help me out here, Josh.
Inflection, yeah.
Okay, inflection. Okay, so yeah, you got to inflect it, but but what I'm saying is like they say it like I think the reason people hate scripts is they never learn to like make it come to life, and you can't make it.
We get stuck trying to be robots, and
Yeah.
we're at risk of being replaced by robots, and so you should be the anti-robot and do anything that makes you human. And I'll give you, as you were talking about this, it just reminded me, like,
okay, go ahead.
One of the for the insurance company, I had everybody, before they talked to me, I had them watch a VSL that was about 3 minutes long. Okay. And the VSL was basically like, hey, if you're tired of getting crappy leads because these companies don't even care about you and they're just ringing the cash register, this is prime for disruption. Like this entire industry is corrupt and it's prime for disruption. And I'm your Huckleberry. That's literally what I said to him, and it's just like, what can I do to add in a little bit of personality here?
When you say Huckleberry, like Tom Sawyer Huckleberry?
Yeah, that or like Val Kilmer in Tombstone, Doc Holliday.
Oh yeah, okay, because Val Kilmer was a huge what's his name? Samuel Clemens, Mark Twain fan, huge Mark Twain fan.
Okay, so but anyway, it was just like, I want to add in a little bit of personality just to throw it off a little bit because I'm not a robot, and people don't want to deal with robots. They want to know that you like Pete Townsend. They want to know that you have traveled to Colombia, Mexico, and other places. They want to know that you get out and paddleboard on weekends in the lake, and that you carry like a little miniature grill with you. Like they want to know these things because,
oh my God, do you have a camera on me on the weekends?
Get out of my life, man.
I mean, oh my God, you're describing me.
Yeah. But that's the thing, is like people want to know, like they don't want to see, like we're so detached with Zoom and everything. Like you're just another talking head in a box until you make yourself more than that. Right. And that's what, if you're going to sell something, and going back to your point about people buy people, go be a person, and don't be afraid to be that person. Don't be afraid to say something totally off the wall that has no business in that conversation. Just do it anyway. It's fine.
I like it, Josh. Man, I could go on forever. I love like all the points that we brought up though. But I want to give you a chance to promote what you do, and then I'm going to promote what I do, and then we're going to say this could be the February episode of Sales Warrior War Room.
War Room.
War Room.
Yeah, get in there.
War Room. Go ahead, Josh.
That's it. Get a Sales Warrior. So, hey, if you sell an online product or something intangible and you want to sell more of it, if you're starting at zero, but if you want to sell more of it and you've gotten a little bit of traction and everything that you've tried to this point has just kind of hit you against the wall, I might have a solution for you. We've put together what we call a conversational funnel. And a conversational funnel is a natural and authentic way to convert sales human to human at scale without you having to be pushy without you having to grind out 16-hour days. Basically, what this funnel does is it pre-sells the prospect for you. It gets them to understand your point of view and your perspective. It introduces them to your method, and then it builds that know, like, and trust factor on complete autopilot, so that by the time they decide, hey, I think that so-and-so might be able to solve my problem, I want to see what it looks like to work deeper with them. The only question they have once they get on the phone with you is, hey, I just need to see what this looks like and how it's going to work and if now's the right time. And so if that sounds interesting to you, we do complete done-for-you service to where you don't have to become a marketing guru or expert. All you have to do is stay in your lane, bring your subject matter expertise to the table. We'll stick it all into a proven process and funnel. We'll write your copy. We'll build your website. We'll set up all the automations. We'll run the ads and manage them until they're performing and getting results. If that all sounds good, you can learn more and get the framework at conversationalfunnels.com.
Beautiful, man. That's awesome, Josh. And then I'll promote what I do.
I am John the Sales Warrior Sansoni. I've been professionally selling successfully for 34 years. What can I teach you? How to prospect, present, follow up, and most importantly, how to close. I have a 3-day masterclass that includes inspiration, motivation, and the mental tools to succeed in business and sales. My course includes worksheets, audio, video, and can be taken in 30 action blocks. Also included, how to have greater confidence. My course should be $400. If you get it today, $29.95. And included my book for free. Once purchased, you'll get free monthly inspiration from me. Just go to saleswarriorinspire.com and order yours today. That's it. Back to the show.
That sounds like a good plan, man.
Yeah, I kind of poured my heart and soul into it, Josh, just because I feel like there are so many people that are out there that are trying to teach sales that haven't been successful selling. So, yeah, I feel like I'm needed in the world, in the universe. But yeah, man, something I'm passionate about. But man, great having you on Sales Warrior War Room. But gotta get t-shirts. Okay, Josh. So this is your chance. One last thing to say to my listening audience as we depart the February episode of Sales Warrior War Room.
I'll say this. If you're really looking to maximize your sales game, stop trying to be a salesperson and start trying to be a good dude.
I love it, man. I love it. And yes, I love it. Being a good dude or a good dudette is the key to, and people knowing that you're a good dude or good dudette is the key to Sales Warrior War Room success. I love it. What a great way to end things. And from Dallas, Texas, John the Sales Warrior saying, cheers, everybody.